the Built for Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Monday morning. Some good baseball yesterday. Some positive baseball vibes as the Yankees are able to salvage one against the Dodgers over the weekend in a very intense regular season series. And the New York Mets have a fun moment. And this season's going to have a lot of down moments. There's been a lot of down moments. They had a fun moment and an exciting finish when you never thought there was any chance they were going to win that game against the Phillies. They were going to blow another one. They did not. So congratulations to them who come back home to the States. But really, this was all about Yankees-Dodgers over the weekend. And I bring you back to a conversation Boomer Esiason and Al Dukes had on Friday when Al said there is no way, when we heard about this forearm situation with Juan Soto, there is no way Juan Soto's playing this weekend against the Dodgers. And Boomer says, I think he's going to play. And I said, I think he's going to play. And Boomer goes, $100, Al. $100. And Al goes, I don't bet. Well, could have made $100. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, Juan Soto. I like it, Al. And I wish you would have bet because I was really disappointed that he didn't play, as I'm sure every Yankee fan out there was as well, as he has inflammation in the forearm, yet no structural damage, what to speak of. So I don't know what's going on. He couldn't pinch hit. And last night was interesting because the fans are screaming, we want Soto, we want Soto, we want Soto.
While Grisham was up.
And Grisham was up. He's in there, and he hits the home run, and then everybody all of a sudden changes.
Yep.
And this is why you don't listen to the fans, because you end up sitting with the fans. Mm-hmm. And I guess they decided, you know what? Out of an abundance of caution, our Yankees, we have to be very careful with these guys, and we have to make sure that they're going to make it through the entire season. So we'll just take this weekend off of all weekends to take off for Juan Soto. Unfortunately, it comes against the LA Dodgers, and it was really disappointing, honestly. I mean, because Friday night watching that game, they could have used him.
Oh, of course.
Holy God.
And it was a pitcher's duel of pitcher's duels, and it kind of felt like the things that you're worried about with the Yankees and the things that have happened to them in years past, where injuries and lack of offense against good teams has sunk them. And that's sort of, they won the last game, they won last night, and it was a great win. But if you just take this series and the importance of it in the regular season, which can be argued, but to me, it's like you don't get a lot of these opportunities when you're a really good team to have that playoff atmosphere in the regular season. But if you think about it, the two biggest problems the Yankees have had in advancing in the postseason the last number of years with this group that's been led by Aaron Judge is injuries to their best players and not being able to hit.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, when you see the Dodgers lineup, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one after another.
Teoscar Hernandez had like a weekend, it was just amazing what he was able to do. And then, of course, Mookie Betts is basically hitless, and all of a sudden tomahawks one down in left field line with men on base when you needed it. I mean, that's big players coming through in big spots. And so did Aaron Judge for the most part. I mean, he had a hell of a series as well. I mean, so what do I take out of it? I kind of take out of it the fact that, the Yankees have a problem at first base.
Yes.
They kind of have a problem at second base. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about Gleyber Torres. We've been sitting here since he first got called up, and we all want him to be great, and he's just so inconsistent. It's mind-numbing. But, it's just, it kind of just shows you just how the Yankees are great. Don't get me wrong. But there may be teams, and it could be the Dodgers, it could be the Orioles. One of these teams is going to be the thorn in the side of the Yankees, especially if they have to deal with injuries or they can't figure out what's going on at first base. And this is like, it's kind of an interesting under-the-radar thing because the Yankees have had such a great year up until this point. And last night it was LeMahieu at first. It's kind of like, when you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, Jeff McNeil needs to be sat down. He's got to be taken out of the lineup. He's struggling. He struggles. You take him out of the lineup. Next thing you know, he comes up with two big hits, when he finally gets back into the lineup over in London. So that's kind of like there are problems for the Yankees. The other problem, too, is I would worry. During the season, it's okay, but in a short series or in a series that they're going to ultimately be in. Is Nestor Cortez going to be in the starting lineup?
Yeah, is he going to be someone that you can count on in a Game 3 in a playoff series, whereas, when he first burst onto the scene, you felt more confident about him than just about anybody outside of Garrett Cole. So, yeah, that is a concern. Now, just talk about first base for a second. What do you do with Anthony Rizzo at this point? I mean, we know that last year it wasn't an excuse, but an explanation that he fell off the face of the earth offensively because he got misdiagnosed with the concussion. He was never himself, but now he has come back in this season and once again been a zero. Now, he is a veteran player who has won a World Series in the past with the Chicago Cubs. He's Aaron Judge's best buddy. He's getting sat down now. DJ LeMahieu playing first base last night. Now, he has not been great since coming back from his injury, but you hope that he rounds into shape and is that thorn in the side of pitchers and working at bats and getting hits and the stuff that we saw early on. And Rizzo is a complicated guy because it's not, he would just, if he's not playing, if he's not a first baseman or a DH, he is just occupying a roster spot for no reason.
It's the Yankees have 46 wins, and we're kind of like on the edges here, talking about different players, and throughout the season, players are going to have their ups and their downs, and some are going to be a little bit longer than others. Jeff McNeil is example number one of that. I guess you could say Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor have been on that list as well. But, this has to be of significant concern for Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman. I mean, this guy is supposed to be, the left-hand hitting power hitter that should have 35 home runs in Yankee Stadium. And he's just, it looks like it's feeble. It gets to the point where even like when Jeff McNeil was going through this, it's they can't even get out of their own way. And that's the frustrating part for the guys that, have paid him and want him to be in the middle of that lineup. And there shouldn't be that much pressure on him, given the fact of the other guys in the lineup around him. He should be getting good pitches. He should be getting, a more consistent performance at the plate. In the field, he's great, but I don't know what to tell you. He's got to come out of it eventually. The question is, what is it going to take for him to come out of it, and how long do they need to sit him?
Yeah, and he could be done. With what happened last year and the injury stuff and it being a head injury and the fact that he was just never the same and has come back. He might be cooked. He might be done. Now, I don't want it to make it seem like we're just focusing on the negative with the Yankees. We know how good they are, but these are some of the things that this is what Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone, all the analytic guys are talking about right now. Is as you said it, we've got a problem at first base. We've got an issue at first base.
And you got an issue at second base too.
And it's not like they could send down Anthony. Yes, so Gleyber Torres is an interesting conversation. He's not quite on the Gary Sanchez level. No,
he's better than that.
He's better than that. He's more consistent than that.
Too many errors in the field. Too much lackadaisical play.
I'll make the comparison in the sense of he was really, really good at one point, and he's never gotten back there. And there's times that you feel like he's just not locked in more often than not. And it's as frustrating as hell. Now, Gary Sanchez, there were more defensive issues with him, and any time that he was involved in something defensively, you felt like just like a pass ball would be such a huge deal, and you have some of that, with Gleyber Torres as well. I was surprised that he was on this team starting this year. I thought that last year this past offseason was a perfect time to trade him. They did not, but he's the guy more than Rizzo, because Rizzo I could see being done. He's the guy that's got to snap out of it, because I don't know what the hell they're going to do with him. Anthony Rizzo, I don't know what they're going to do with either one of those guys if they don't start performing. It's definitely a conundrum with where they are in their careers.
And it actually accentuates itself when Juan Soto is not in the lineup.
Yes.
That's the other
magnifying
problem.
glass spot.
100%. Yeah. Yes. And look, I watched all these games, and the Dodgers, man, they're a hell of a team. Even though, Yankees have more wins than them. Their pitching staff is pretty damn good, man. It's a battle every time you get into into the box, because whether it be high and tight, whether it be sliders low and inside, all sorts of things that were going on this weekend that hopefully is a prelude to the World Series. Because that would be an amazing World Series, and the Yankees will tweak their lineup before we get there, and they're going to have to get through Baltimore.
Yes, they will, and it'll It is unfortunate, too, that Juan Soto may play tonight against the Kansas City Royals and didn't play at all against the Dodgers. And, like, I want to know how this works out where, all right, he has this forearm situation. There's a rain delay, decides to not go out there. They get it checked out. There's no structural damage. And then in this series, which is by far the biggest series that the Yankees will have during the regular season on paper before the season starts, there could be a Baltimore series later on that could determine the division. But all things equal, this was the biggest series they'd had with the star team coming in that you don't normally play, all the history in New York baseball. And he just doesn't get in any of these games and is going to play Monday against the Kansas City Royals. So what was it? Were the Yankees trying to be overly cautious? Did Juan Soto say, "Man, I need a couple of days to get this right"? I couldn't imagine that. He played 162 games last year. The guy always plays. So would the Yankees really be that overly cautious with Juan Soto?
100%.
But there's nothing. Yes. There was no structural damage.
I know, but I just you could have made him your DH.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Which I thought that's exactly what we thought was going to happen. And it didn't. So I don't know. That was just a very, very strange
inflammation in the forearm.
Inflammation, yeah. He could have played through. He's been playing through it.
Stick it in ice, get some stim, call it a day, and get out there.
Shoot him up.
But again, it's early in the season. You know the whole argument.
Do some cupping.
You know the whole argument's going to be, we got a long way to go. We're just in the first quarter, the first third of the season. I mean, you know how this goes.
Yeah, but it's different, man. It's the Dodgers series. Like, if this were the Twin series that they just had, or they were playing any random team, the Oakland Athletics, like, okay, fine.
Well, the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, the Royals have actually been okay this
I know.
year.
They're 12 games over 500.
Yeah, so they've been better than okay. But I was very surprised with that. But I guess it's still good news that there was nothing going on there, and it wasn't like this Tommy John situation that we were talking about on Friday.
So let me ask you a question. When the fans are screaming, "We want Soto" last night.
Yep.
Do you think obviously the guys in the booth are saying it's too early, it's too early, it's too early. Like, let's wait until the 8th inning or the 9th inning possibly. Do you think that there was an actual legitimate thought that Soto could have pinch hit in a pinch?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I'm sure that they asked him before the game if he would be available. They probably really considered it because the Grisham home run was in the 6th. If they're down late in the game, maybe he does get that opportunity like they were talking about as far as maybe the 8th or 9th inning, especially if he's going to be available tonight. But, I mean, it's just when you're involved in special seasons that the Yankees are having right now, stuff like this happens. Where Trent Grisham, who's was hitting under 100 when he comes up to the plate in that situation, where people are screaming for Juan Soto, we want Soto, and then he hits this bomb with his mustache. I think he's got like 6 hits and 3 of them are home runs.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's just like that. That's the type of wacky stuff that happens in the positive way. But yeah, I do think that if they were down 9th inning and had an opportunity to get Soto in there to hit, they would have used them.
So that Aaron Boone is at the top step of the dugout at this moment.
Yeah.
And he's hearing 48,000 fans. Well, maybe not all 48,000, maybe 38,000 because there were 10,000 Dodger fans. Maybe 38,000 fans, he heard all of it. And when Grisham hits that home run, how do you think he feels at that moment?
Oh, I'm sure that he is filled with pride and happiness and saying, "Oh, look what I did." And by the way, he was getting crushed because Grisham was hitting 5th. They're like, how the hell do you put this guy 5th last night? And then he ends up doing this, so he was basking in the glow. Now,
for all the decisions that managers make that they get just absolutely roasted for.
Yeah, they don't never get credit for the
ones
good
that,
ones.
that happen. Like here, he could have pinch hit Juan Soto at this moment, and all the managers in the stands all wanted that to happen.
Well,
and now this happens, and it turns out that Aaron Boone did the right thing or made the right choice because the player that he believed in actually came through.
That's right. And sometimes it's not about the results, Boomer. It's about the process. And this time,
what?
That's what they always say.
It's not about the results. It's about the process. What are you talking about?
That's what every person in sports in analytics now will talk about that.
Mike Tannenbaum
it's about
Mike Tannenbaum
It's about the process,
that's Mike Tannenbaum.
and not the results. So what we decided the process, we put him in the best situation. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But we're happy with our decision because we went through our process. That's what Aaron Boone probably would have said.
I see. Okay, so
that's probably what he would have said.
So he was processing the whole decision making.
The process, yeah. I think it was process.
Nobody processed more than Mike Tannenbaum.
Yeah, him and Sam Hinkie were the two process guys. Sam Hinkie was the more famous process guy. He was the trust the process guy with the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yes.
And Joel Embiid's nickname is actually the process because of that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's but it ended up working out. So yeah, I'm sure there was a wry smile on Aaron Boone's face, and they not that they needed this win because it would have been fine either way, but it would have been really disappointing for them to go into this big series, get swept, and Juan Soto not play any one of those games.
It was kind of like the Mets over in London. If they don't come back and win this game.
Yeah,
on the most unbelievable of plays.
Yeah, where they're in the midst of blowing another one. I mean, there wasn't a person in America who has paid attention to that Mets game that thought that they were going to win that game in that situation. To have a double play on a broken bat, force out at home, is just insane. So yeah, and it was good, and that I'm sure Jerry has it, but the English call, the guy with the British accent who made the call on it was fun to watch. So in a season of complete cesspool, the Mets had a nice little moment.
They are 3 games out of a wild card.
Yeah, well, okay.
No?
Nah. I don't think so. I mean, I was looking back when they traded David Robertson. I wrote this down in my notes section.
You actually wrote it down in your notes section of your phone?
I did because I wanted to make a point.
Okay.
Because they weren't completely out of it when they made that when they traded David Robertson away. It basically was the white flag
last year.
Yeah,
yes.
So they were 6 games under 500, which is better than where they are now. And they were 7 games out of the second wild card. And that's when they waved the white flag last year.
Well, they're 3 games out now.
Sure, but
I mean, they're at the bottom.
Would they have made that trade last year if they were 5 games out, 6 games out? Was 7 the number? I still think that they would have to be in a playoff spot to not sell at the deadline. I think that they're 2 or 3 games out. We're not good enough. What the hell are we doing here? We got to rebuild this team, and even if we snuck into the playoffs, we get our asses kicked anyway.
Little magic. Little Mets magic.
Little Mets magic.
I mean, it's what you got to hope for.
It's happened before, I suppose.
Hey, the owner's not giving up yet.
Oh, no, he's not giving up. Now that he's back involved in the Mets after sitting and watching every one of the Knicks games courtside. And he said, did you hear him say that the food in London is better than the food in New York? He actually said that in a press conference.
I didn't hear that.
He said that the food here is actually better than New York.
Really? Does he mean at the stadium or does he mean
at
the...
No,
I have to say this. I've been to London before. The food is average.
Yeah, I mean, some people say it's horrible. And someone asked him to give him an example. Jerry will probably have this. Give him an example of his favorite thing that he ate. And he said it was a sausage at the halfway house of whatever golf course he played that he wrapped in white bread and put mustard on. That was his London's food is better than New York.
I wonder if it was a Johnsonville brat.
Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think they had. Do they have Johnsonville over there?
Who knows?
But that's what he said.
All right, so he loved the sausage.
He loved the sausage over there.
Okay, great.
Wrapped in a piece of white bread. Mustard. This man's a billionaire. He's a multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
He can eat anything he wants. And he's wrapping sausages in white bread and dipping it in mustard and saying, this food's tremendous.
I could come up with 50 restaurants here just in the lower New York City area that are probably better than every restaurant in London.
Yeah, I think that you're not alone in saying that. So that's why it was shocking and it made some news yesterday. All right, Boomer and Gio just getting started on this Monday morning. Got Jerry in here in just a couple of minutes.